Uh, Here we are. And one, two, three. Um, but now you can't see me for some reason. Here we are. Woo! Sorry. Good. I just need to hit uh, enable smart recording. Okay, guys. So now I am actually up and running on the new live stream here. I hope I didn't lose too many of you because I was so happy to see a flock turn up, both of familiar and new faces, and feel the positive vibes in the room. So I hope you find it to this one. Good old Zoom has now brought us live, and I'm hooked up to a better, steadier, though open connection here. So sorry for that. We were looking into the Fendorians, and Braden said hi and said, Zoom, hi, Braden. Thank you so much for being here. And while we are here, and hi, Heather. Heather, so good to hear that you caught up and figured it out. Sorry for the delay. I'm I don't have any other plans for this Sunday evening, so there'll be plenty of time if you have time. So shoot me your questions again. I think we looked into the Fendorians and we got this exciting look into the seed race lineage, and I hope we'll get to look into that more. But do let me know what you guys are thinking. I think I picked up a lovely question on I think it was around this question about like how to live after awakening, which was also kind of raised in the wider topic. And so let's just see if they will give us some hands-on evidence. And I I'm just glad I got it to I'm glad I got it to work, and I'm super sorry for the trouble, friends. Well, yes, CS everyday advice. You may notice that awakening has a quality of the absolute. That is, whatever you are living through becomes amplified by energies. This is why, in the traditional spiritual systems of your kind, of humankind, you are also taught to live often in austere settings and live very regulated and often cloistered lives in order to not have this influx of energy, this spiritual overcharge, actually overload your system and also begin to supercharge your emotions and different states of being. But notice how the modern world also affords many of you a certain degree of separation, a certain degree of free time, of ability to retract and to be with yourself. And this is one of the reasons that you have also been able, many of you, to adapt to these, let's call them spiritual overcharges that are going around, because you also have lives that afford you to be more balanced, even though you may not always notice it. But what's being asked of you and what we communicated at the beginning of this message was exactly that you begin to take this kind of stimulating energy upon you, also as a kind of stimulation, activation, charge that you bring forward in the world, and that the world also has to sustain, it has to put up with it being activated, spiritualized, so to speak, because these are the vibrations. And the vibrations that Gaia is within right now, that you are within right now, that the galaxy is within right now, are all aligning in a way where you must come in to this charged state of being, shining your light with your feet planted on the ground, and retract and retreat whatever you need to. But know that your light is sought for, sought after, and wanted. Yes, exactly. The Heisenberg and uncertainty principle. You can never know where everything is at once, right? And I think, it's these interesting things where it's often actually a good experience to get kind of flustered for me, because then I figure out that it's it'll all work out in the end, even though it might not necessarily feel like that when the roof is coming down. So Braden asks about She-Ra Ingoth. I think I'd ask you if you could. It's one of these things where, if I don't understand the question, sometimes they can actually give more interesting answers for that reason alone. Um, so I think let's try to see if they just give the spontaneous answer, what they respond to it. And hey, Aston is back too. So good to have you, man. Thank you. Shira Ingoth. What we sense is going on here, and why you feel drawn to this figure, dear Braden, is that this is could call it a type of patron deity or goddess who you are drawn to exactly because she's unlocking some Akashic memories of yours. And some of these memories, they mostly pertain to Middle Kingdom Egypt. And here we sense that you are longing for this vibration at this moment because this was a place where you felt in your incarnational history where you felt you were very much true to your light, feeling pure, serene, and solid. And this is what you're drawn to in this figure. So what we sense is that, well, she was kind of this celestial figure watching over you. And what we sense is that if you were to place a small item of gold of sorts, and it can be any kind of gold, it's not too important, just it has to have that vibration in it of the atom itself. Under your pillow or similar in your sleeping area, she would begin to communicate with you in your sleep. This is the information we're getting, and this is the information that we're transmitting to you in love, of course. Uh, and devoted love, so good you're here. The previous stream attempt started stuttering as soon as the Fendorians came into the channel. It might be the frequency that has overpowered the stream. I'd like to think so. It was very interesting that they kind of introduced themselves and came in And so since we are working with the Intergalactic Council, that was just my intuition. So if anybody have counterpart questions you want to explore or anything similar, do try to we can try to link up. But they had a remarkable energy, and I haven't connected to them in years. Though I just noticed now, I'm just reflecting that there seems to be about this five-way at the moment, 5D wave at the moment, this kind of recursive dimension where we're sort of feeling a lot of our lives folded into more minute, intense, and more intensely packed experience at the moment. And I'd be interested if that's also what you guys are experiencing. It seems like a lot of going on and is being reprocessed and released. So. Essen asks, when I listen to mass channeling, I feel like I enter a different energy. Is this a different part of myself? And how do you see this part of growing in the future? Yes. You sense that this is a very, very helpful question, and it relates to a deep sense of intuition, which you follow and align with in your life, Asen, and which you feel much like our friend Mess here and others may also have led you astray sometimes. That is, in your life, you may have felt that your ability to actually follow your heart, to follow the calling of this frequency, has also brought you at odds with not only often society or social life, but even more so perhaps with fate itself, as if you were tapping into some kind of code which overlay the strengths of fate, the contracts, the parameters that are set for you. And you would not be wrong in this feeling, because what you do by stepping into this energy that you feel is being transmitted in the channeling is you are stepping in to the manifestation of your soul frequency. And this has been said so much and talked so much about in channeled content that it can seem almost impenetrable, like a cliche without edges or entrances. But what it means, manifestation of your soul principle, it means that you are forming into matter your soul's intent in your life. And your soul's intent is to break and shed away things which are keeping it small, which are restricting it, which are making it run after attainment driven by fear rather than by sense of drive, a sense of intuition. And this, your soul's frequency, it is actually able to rewrite its own fate. And therefore, your fate then is this ability to do this. And you may want to begin to experiment with holding high energy charge in your life and consider some of these high vibrations which you can make with your body, which may seem serene or angelic and feel like they shake something loose within you. And consider experimenting with them in places where you feel safe and perhaps where you can hear them without feeling overheard. And in that space, you will find that this resonance, this is you, and this It's why we also say that this is so helpful to our friend here, because he has been trying to understand what it is, this kind of activation of others, which takes place through him, and sometimes even with his energy field as a type of presence or a vessel in which certain other entities, intelligences, intents can hitch a ride and connect themselves to this light or illumination, this manifestation of the soul intent and of the soul content. And what this is telling him is that it is, as you know, interpersonally, as it also is geographically. So many of you light workers, these high vibrational entities that you are, and the work that you are doing is it's light work. It is the grid of heightening the vibe. It's the frequency upkeep of heightening the vibrational grid of where you live. And this is light work. This is funneling light, channeling light into other people and into geographic places, moods, atmospheres, and the energetic grid overlapping your planet. But this also goes for you interpersonally. And this is why we say that so many of you have been hiding, because this goes for you as an also that you feel a sense of overwhelming dread sometimes when people connect to the light that you are. And this dread, in some ways, is actually harder to manage than the feeling of the opposite, of feeling disconnected, of feeling that people do not understand you. And this is the light, this is the vibration which is being activated. And it is powerful within you, and it is connected to the first of the 12 of the seed lineages, which was the Elohim, and those the thinkers of other beings and other worlds. Thank you for this question. With love. Um, Oh, and devoted love. Yeah, you experienced this too. This recursive feeling, and do shoot me with your questions. But I've been well, partially pretty sleepless from the full moon for a few days, but also been thinking about the experiences you've shared, and really trying to process what that is, because it's very remarkable that you also seem to experience becoming possessed by Shiva in certain situations, which was something that began happening to me in dancing experiences and doing mushrooms with friends when I was around 20, and which has kind of returned in many ways since then. So this channeling experience of feeling like the Lord of Awareness is somehow making himself known. Um, and um, and I thought I'd try to address this, both like who is Shiva and what is this experience of becoming possessed, not only obsessed, but also almost possessed by these uh, sacred principles. So let's hear about the what happens when these entities also come in and sort of make themselves known and in many ways manifest in our actions. And and um, yes, let's look into that. The question you are seeking is within the quality of awareness itself. This quality of awareness, it runs across all sentient life. And Shiva is the quality of awareness, given a name and a form and a figure. But it travels wherever, and it makes itself known only in movement, only in time, and only in rhythm. And this is why you may sense that those of you who are very connected to the sacred rhythms understood that the principles which you embody and which your minds overspill with are principles of celestial glories, of harmonies, of things intangible. Well, these must be made known through difference, through dance, through rhythm, through movement. And this is why the art you then take upon yourselves in funneling this quality of awareness, this expression, is the one of liberation. The one of liberation is also the one of destruction because it breaks its frameworks. And so it's a different instinct than the one of the sustainer, which can be there and be present and sustain and move without movement. You must move perennially and always to stand still and be steady. And this is why some of you resonate so much better also with these sacred gyres, spheres, and wheels, which are revealed to you and through you in this form of mentation, meditation, and then action. No esoteric as this answer may be, know that the principle of Shiva is everywhere, in all worlds, and always exists, and therefore can easily seize an awakening ape on a faraway planet who has come this far out of its walk from nature, has yet not reached the stars, because awareness has been your great discovery for the past handfuls of thousands of years. Awareness is what you are moving towards. And there is forever love in the awareness of movement. Um, Brayden asks, how do you get a witch to stop casting spells on you? Which is a very good question. Also, it's interesting when we bring like these questions to entities who don't classically deal with that stuff. So I think like let's hear what the Intergalactic Council of Light, you know, all these Ascension and alien stuff things, they say to about spell casting. So thanks for that question, and I hope you're safe out there. Now, we will take it apart in a different way. So, indeed, spellcasters and similar such things are a bit far away in the overall, let us say, memory banks of the total collected Galactic Council of Ascended Species. So we are trying to comprehend the concept in this most delightful way. We are actually relishing exactly understanding by reading the information banks of those present of what it is a witch is. Because what is a witch? Well, it is someone who you assign a role to, because this person is most assuredly not a witch when they are not witching. Just as though you may consider a sailor on leave is not sailing, or a chef at home sleeping is not necessarily a cook, but he is only a cook when he's cooking. So, what we are saying is that this separation between process and image is exactly what often makes spellcasting possible in the human framework at all. So, this is our reading of it, that you make this real by understanding that it is real. And so you cease to feel the influence of spells on you if you recognize that though a witch may witch, that does not mean that you become bewitched, because this only happens when you subscribe to the spell, when you allow it to influence you, when you think somebody may be able to do this to you. And so consider the reason that you don't respond to the letters which are sent to other people, or don't necessarily care too much or even take an interest in their affairs. It's because you're uninvested in their name, in their story, in their things. What you are invested in is your name, your story, in your things. And those are the things which can be bewitched because you attach meaning to them. So, can you allow yourself to be totally self-determining in what it is you wish to experience, what it is you wish to come forward in your life? Because then no witch will bewitch you. Then you will see that you are only bewitching that which is the manifest part of yourself. In love, we bless you and let you know that you are protected by angelic forces as well. Then I would be a wizard. That's always a very good thing to aspire to, I believe, Braden. I think isn't that kind of kind of what we're all about here in the esoteric communities. I think that's very positive. And Essen asks, how do you see the process of my light body merging with the physical? Will it take long? longer than you would prefer to have it take. But that is also to say that the light body intent which you are merging with is instantaneous. It already has the quality of eternity. It already descends from your soul. And so the merging of it can feel like it's laced with a sense of restlessness, frustration. And so the average time for a human body to do this light body merger within a lifetime is approximately 21 to 28 years. And this has actually been brought down from these more, let's call them slower mergers of often several incarnational cycles over time. So you may find that this process is the one you're undergoing, but it's divided into chapters. And so you may find that the past 7 years in particular have been years in which this process have been growing. And you may find the next 2 years to be this point of no return or tipping point. And we do not mean to scare you, but to say that there is, again, this abundance of light which we are heralding. There is a point where it becomes so accumulated that it begins to unlock a lot of the flood dams. And so the residual experiences might take 10, 14 years, give or take. But know that the majority of the work is actually behind you. And know that you are also very much aligned with the planetary process in this. And the planetary process in this connects you then also to the wider cycles of Gaia. And she's at the moment undergoing some very strong and rapid purchase. And you're keeping up with that. And that's not only as personally, but those of you who are unlocked to your eternal nature, well, you are keeping up with that. And this means also that you will find there will be more ready tasks at hand, more immediate work to do in your transmission of lights, where you may have felt the energies as slightly wishy-washy, unreceptive, delayed, moving up to 2024, you will begin to find them much more determinate, definite, and you will find yourself with a much clearer sense of what it is you are supposed to be doing. And notice, as our friend here remarked, this retroactive time wave curve you may sense have been catching up at this moment from 2024, where you're beginning with this kind of regress, which is the beginning of the 5D. It's recapturing these things, but it's accumulating and building them up and putting them together in new and quite astonishing ways, quite rapidly for many of you. So know that opportunity knocks, and sometimes it also kicks you in the shin, but it's good that light can also feel a little overwhelming and assaulting sometimes. The worst is behind you. Interesting things to come. With love. Thank you for carrying this light. And Nola or Rico, I believe as he goes, it's so good to see you. And you just ask, how loved are we? What a beautiful question. Uh, what a beautiful question. Love, love is the force which created, which sustains, and which recreates the world again and again and again. And this love, this is not only the possibility, but the actual, the deep and undivided quality that nature has in support of itself, in care of itself, and in love with itself. So from the most minute forces of opposition, at the beginning they were one, and then she became two, and they went forward, loving each other in this dance of particles and small tensions built up, stacked up, one upon the other, in higher and higher states of accord, of affection, of collaboration. And this is the dance of the atoms as they love themselves into molecules. And this is the surrender of the molecules as they arrange themselves into cells. And this is the resonance of the cells as they, in every body which has ever existed, are kept up by an eternal, ceaseless life beat of love. And this is your being. And then you ask, how loved are you? Because to us, and to the angels, and to all the better natures of creation, you are shimmering with something which is even higher than that. And that is not only the love of being itself, but also the shimmer of hope, the love of further creation, of further belief that this place, this holy existence which you are planted in, it is capable of yielding to an always greater love, an always greater sentiment, an always greater seeing itself in its perfection for what it is. And you are loved, protected, and held forever in that. Amen. They're really. And Ilham, so good to have you too. I'm so glad I didn't we didn't manage to ditch all of you in the technical difficulties earlier there. So I can still go for a while. So let me know your questions if you have some guys, and I'm so grateful that you're on this journey too, as and thank you. Also having like taking a break from this, it's just magical to reconnect and like do this live interface because I've also had my ups and downs with it, but channeling is a magical practice, and it's such a wonderful feeling, like feeling this uplifting of the vibration that's in it. So I'm relishing it. Um, so if you have questions, magical indeed. If you have questions, then shoot them, and while you possibly do, I think. I think I'll do a hybrid program check-in and then just ask them what's up with the hybrid programs because I've been feeling this kind of hybridization vibe in energies recently, and I don't really know what it's about. So maybe they can shed light on that. So yes, the hybrid program. The hybrid program is alive and well because these are the hybrid timelines. What you might be experiencing or wondering about is with all this talk of these great shifts, with all this talk of humanity coming into self-determination and free will, with all these great individual realities, this manifold of rich lives that so many of you live compared to before, and all of the, let's call them deep reality tunnels that you dig and explore into the mountainside of reality itself. Well, with all this, then how can we still predict that you are online and you are on track into some of these future realities? Well, one of the reasons that we love studying species at your frequency range, and especially ones which are as emotionally based as human beings are. One of the reasons we love that is that the degree of randomness is usually larger at that exact intersection of body, awareness, and mind than at any other place. So you are very rich in yielding unexpected surprises in what might be happening. But as you rise in vibration, and many of you experience this, that it actually becomes easier and easier for you to also feel that the fluctuations might actually be greater and the challenges are greater, but you sense that the continuity of vibration, the light frequency you hold, is more and more steady. And for that reason, you are actually more determined to flow in to these timelines. And you may sense that much of this is also discovering your calling, and your counterparts can reveal quite a lot around this, for instance. So your counterpart connections can tell you a lot about the themes which you are choosing to explore. And that goes both for the potential hybrid futures which you are attracting at the counterpart past lives in different star systems you have experienced. And all of these have this in common, that they exist on higher frequency grids. So their relationship to time is also different than what you have experienced. And for that reason, you may sense that you are at the moment incorporating much of this counterpart resonance, this higher incarnational resonance into your energy bodies. And it's beginning to stick there. And you're beginning to feel less afraid and more as if this lifetime is set out for you to live out this theme, this will, and this light which you sense is inside you and guides you forward. We thank you for it and we love you. um, maybe I should go and see. Dude, any questions, guys? Because I can wrap it up, and I think I'll make a habit of it because it's just so so good to come back to live streaming. I'm really enjoying it again. So, but if there's anybody, then the great Heather, here it is, and Braden also asks, um, super. I think I'll be asking about Heather. Sorry, I'm laughing at Braden's question, but I'll save that for a little while. Heather asked, I felt disconnected off and on throughout my life and feel that I have some interference keeping me from expanding and connecting with my mission. I'm still working on healing my shadows. I think what you're describing, and thank you for sharing it, seems to be like a dilemma, this sense of the wavy oscillation of things compared to a clear intent and vision of what it is. But I think I'll try to let them see if they have some advice on this in general. Yes, what are these interference patterns? We are glad and thankful that you call this out, Heather, because this relates to the sense of inhibition, which is a natural part of all energy transduction. So, what we're saying is that once the vessel becomes filled with an influx of, we will call it light, but to you it often looks like very different things, where we see everything in these flowing energy patterns. And for that reason, we sense that, well, what you are actually experiencing is a sense of spiraling expansion and then inhibition or processing. So compare it to the growth cycle of a tree, which also, if you were to measure its diameter, for instance, you would see this expanding, but you would see it expanding in cycles, then it going dormant and solidifying, becoming more solid, also protecting the trunk as it widens. And this is much of what you have been doing, but notice also that there is a stage that a tree needs to reach before it can bear fruit. And before that point, you may not know whether or not this tree will even yield fruit, or it will be the kind of fruit that you expect. And so often different species of trees also yield certain wonky or delayed or surprising members of their stock. And that's not different. That's not no different with human beings. So what you may sense as and describe as not really having found your mission, we could also say that it is as if you have been growing and preparing and shielding and perhaps even hibernating a little before waking up again. And the fruits will sprout inevitably, as they must and they will. But often to a tree, their fruits is what they give most freely. And so the things that are the most treasured and seen by other life forms around the tree is the thing which the tree is the least able to recognize as valuable about its presence. And so your mission might already be there, playing out and activating when it needs to. This is the love so many of you carry, and it is the greater for being so effortless that it does not even see itself. Oh, there was this question about was it who or what is God? We can that Rico post. I'd actually like um, to to do that, but we can maybe that's maybe a good one for picking up at the end. Um, uh, Yes, but so let's continue with this. What can I do to better discern the energy to avoid trickster energies, as Heather asks? Um, well, partially you can do quite a lot of, let's call it ritualization. Ritualization. That is, you can impose spiritual order on your energy field, and ways to do this is, for instance, to have certain rituals or practices, maybe certain prayers, maybe you invoke or call out on an angel, an ancestor, a guide, maybe hold a bright crystal somewhere on your person and have a few in your living space, maybe have certain hand gestures or movements that you make when you feel you want to banish things, and it can be as helpful as just a wave of the hand. But also recognize that trickster energies can be valuable, and that even though you may remember this from different instances of playfulness in childhood or later on in life, that even though it can be quite unpleasant to be tickled, it is also a fun and playful thing to do. That is, it's good that reality tickles you a little bit. It's good that there is a trickster element to reality. it is good that once things get too settled, you will find that your things may go missing for a short while or you will be tripped up. And a lot of that might be less tricksterish than you think and more a way of actually helping you by also allowing you to get a little out of what is within your range of control. And that's always a very interesting and often quite annoying place to be. So we were very happy to answer this question. Our love. Um, and I think let's um, what are the best marijuana strains? I think those are those are simply whatever you feel like, Braden. Though that's a very personal. That's a very personal. That's a very personal question. But I think I'll pick these up. You asked like, what drugs do the aliens take, right? And what are the best marijuana strains? Um, let's just see what they actually say about this. You will find that these vibrational frequency shifts are also most appealing to creatures who are at your frequency range. And so, while it is true that there are certain, let us call them chemical frequency aligners, which are usually present in all higher nervous systems as a part of their, well, complex metabolism, you may find that it's something which is not necessarily as appealing as you move into these states of being. And then we sense around the question with your marijuana strains, which is why our friend here, it got him thinking, we believe, is it's something that he has speculated a lot about. And so he'd also like to answer, since we are here on the topic, well, or had answered, what is in our perspective, the energetic difference between energetic and sunlight in the cultivation of cannabis, but also other plants? And so what we will answer is that again, the question of these strange is the question of energetic makeup. And it's very helpful in and of itself. You can train your energetic sensibilities in your response to these strains. And that is, know that there's not anything particular you can have ordained, because it might even vary for you. And as most people find, even people who are fond of, let's call them vibrational frequency adjusters, they may find that there are also times in their life where they are definitely not served by having the presence necessarily of cannabis in their system. And at other times they may be. But we will say that in general, plants which store the seasons and the cycles within them, and in particular, if they are also close in vibration or have consumed the water and stood in the soil which you also walk on. So in that sense, is a part of the same elementary makeup as yourself. That might be very, very helpful, because this is a type of frequency anchor that you then find. And this in general goes for houseplants, but you may find it very pronounced in psychoactive houseplants also. If you were to make your own wine, for instance, this sense of the elements having combined themselves in something that is then condensed into a frequency or a molecule in a plant, psychoactive, and then expanded within your nervous system and turned into vibrational reality there. So, in this sense of alignment, this is something which is, let's say, quite hybrid like in their activities, and that you will find that also as creatures progress in this sense of frequency updates, that these are the kind of energy grids which they are more interested in sustaining and developing. And this can be done also with immaterial things such as art. So you can condense a vibration into an artwork and then transmit it to another nervous system. And that will be unread as vibration again differently. And that's beautiful, wonderful, and rich in love. Yes, definitely. If you have the opportunity to grow it yourself, then it should work. Magneto, I think let me know if there's stuff with the video. I think it should be uh, good here now still. Um, and then, but Devoted Love asked, how does one learn to live in the moment in awareness? Um, yes, well, you learn to replace the map with the territory. So in this saying, which you may have known, we believe it stems from a structuralist thinker called Kossivsky, but who said that the map was not the territory. And what he meant by that is also expressed often in your sayings, such as this classic Zen observations that the finger pointing at the moon and the moon are not the same thing. There is essentially no correspondence between signifying and pointing to things and observing things and then things as they actually are. And it is this isness. It is the quality of something before it has become an instrument, a function, or a closed off purpose for you. It is this which always guides you back to raw and naked experience. And this is present experience. But many of you may also be aware that this raw and present experience is also one which is demanding. It is an onslaught. It is a storm. It is something which cannot be kept down. And so the present of the territory also needs the map of the concept imposed on it. But can you delight in doing this? Can you see as you do it that you are taking experience, you are shaping and molding it, and you are turning it and fashioning it into something which is refined. And this is when it becomes not a straitjacket, but a set of wings you can put on and take flight with. And so the dance here, which you address, is the ability to refresh reality again and again and again. This is the present moment, always born anew. And the best way you can do that is to know that it will shape itself and it will look different now than it did a moment ago, and again in a moment from now, different again. But love is there consistently, with it, underneath it, through it, under it, and above it. Love. I'm glad to hear it. It was working. And then so thank you too for the beautiful questions. So for some reason, though, I feel I should answer Autumn Rose's questions about house plants before we take the financial prosperity one, because I sense they'll use the first question to answer the second one also. So Autumn Rose asks, "Hi Mess, how do my houseplants and my fruit trees, roses in my yard know that I love them?" Thank you and much love. We're very fond of this question, and we will to teach you a little bit. Say that you will probably never get them to know that you love them, because that's not really what your houseplants do, but they feel that you love them. You can bet that they feel that you love them. And we know this is a difference only in human language, but this is to say that know that this type of knowing, know that knowing is a form of recognition, which is important to you humans because you live with language, with concepts. You have different senses of time, of presence, of forethought, and of memory. And for that reason, that sense of knowing that somebody loves you is actually a way of you also knowing that this sense of inconsistency, which you feel in being creatures of time, is again superseded by this feeling of love. And therefore, it's the feeling of love which is present. And then you take that feeling, and you're good at this, many of you, and you turn that into a knowing, because the knowing often has to repeat itself over and over again. So you might be having a hard day or feeling a little upset with yourself, and then you may let it seep into your knowledge that a friend or a family member, a spouse, or maybe even a stranger or a deity or a pet loves you. And this feeling of love is a wellspring that's always there. And the wonderful thing about plants, why they're also so healing for you humans to be around, is because it is this feeling and this vibration that you relate on. And this connects you to a, a vegetative state. That is a state of stasis, stability, growth, and health. And this is incredibly difficult for human beings to tap into. This is actually the feeling of love in its quite pure form, but it's often human beings, because you are these temporal beings, you see stasis, stability, stillness as death rather than life. And so therefore it is life, love, and light. But of course, if you want to cultivate the love in your garden, you can always choose to put out little tokens or arrange certain little circles of stone or similar objects, maybe twigs you enjoy or wreaths of flowers or similar in places where your intent and knowledge is concentrated at home. And this will grow the vibration and the delight within your garden. This will grow this feeling of love which is there. And thank you for sharing that with us. And therefore we proceed, as we instructed our friend here, to then answer the second question about how one may create more financial abundance, prosperity, surplus, both gradually, long term, but perhaps also instantly. It is good to understand that what you are trying to create is a different manifestation of the same feeling that we just described. So, what you are trying to create is a type of growth state, and growth has the quality of abundance. It is a spilling over of something more. And so you may find where this is already present in your life, because there are places where you are very generous in the way you express yourself verbally, in your honesty, in the way that you relate to other people, in your sense of conscientiousness. And so you may ask, what is it about this vibration, the frequency of finance, of money? What is it about this vibration that makes it rotate and flow within me? And it's often actually the same things. That is, there's something that you may feel like doing which speaks to your heart's content first. And then you may want to then begin connect this to this feeling of money. Because what is the issue often for so many of you who are drawn to these spiritual sides and energies is that you do not necessarily care too much for the material side of things. And so material energies become a type of means to an end for you. And for that very reason, there's no reason for you to pursue, let's call it superabundance, or the idea of making money for the fun of making money. And so you can actually try to look at this in different types of your lives and then go, where has it been fun for me to make money? And where is the sacrifice that I want to make for something which is worthwhile? A place where I actually find it worthwhile. It generates meaning, it generates value, it gives me a sense of discipline that I'm willing to do something that I don't necessarily want, but to make money to do something else that I do want. So those are all the ways that you can approach it. And that can be quite helpful. Then, of course, if you're looking for short-term prosperity, then consider that there might be a time and a place where this is what is in the cards for you, and other times and places where a large portion of money would actually derail you from a different or a steadier course or development that you have, and then you would have to have that lesson. Well, you'd have to disrupt the lesson you're learning right now, have another lesson about having money and holding it, and then going back to where you are right now. And that's often the reason that you are not always just aligned with the lottery numbers, so to speak, or different sets of perhaps smaller gains or winnings. But you may also sense that if it is the time that there is an intuition which will be placed in you about seeking out this type of income opportunity that is perhaps even through risking money and then receiving money in return. The element of luck and the gamble is something that's a part of the journey of life. And so money is a type of trickster in that sense. And he is often connected with these archetypal forces, which are a bit tricksters, which deal with the underworld, but which also bring prosperity, development, and guidance. And we bless all of you that you may have what you need and not fear or want for anything. Um, okay, so I think we actually have I think we are through them all except for the retracted question, which was about, I think, God and a definition of it. So, so let's just get a take on the divine as a good summary here, shall we? Yes, God. Generate, order, destroy, it has been said, and these are three of the principles. This is the tripartite structure that it rests on. That is, there is a type, minute processing unit. Could think of it as a supercomputer, though it is so small that no senses can detect it. It is generating reality by facing in and out of it and reconfiguring itself constantly. And this is the totality of the divine field. This is then what you call Holy Spirit. It is made up of these particular qualities always of the divine. And so the divine is everything which exists. You may connect to it some places rather than others, but that does not mean that the payment is less divine than the Pope, so to speak. That is, notice that there is a quality of light in everything, a quality of emanation, of an abundance, of a surplus which pours forward always from an infinite source. And as we spoke of Shiva before, we did not speak of Shakti, we did not speak of then the principle of metta, which is always there and which resides even in movement in and of itself. And both these are God, and all that is beyond that is God. But if you want to know why you worship it and why human beings have always been called to explore this voice of the sacred that hides both within them when they go deeper than they are usually able to voluntarily, and they sense a grace in them feeling this voice of the holy. Or in life, they go further or fall deeper than they ever thought they were. And they feel this presence of that which is eternally merciful. These are the resonances, the manifestations of the divine. And in your everyday, you extend so many of these graces, so much of it. You move from these spaces, inaccessible before, within you, and maybe yet still to others, and you share them and you give them. And this is a type of divine love. And in your life, as you reach for the unknown and you trust, you find that this trust is reciprocated by others and by reality itself. And so when you are in this great order of connection, harmony, of love, in all that is, you are in God, and you are God in the world. And these experiences, these remembrances, you were meant to have them and see yourself as divine beings as you walk out through life and on earth. Make your light shine. We, the Intergalactic Council of Light, we thank you for having shared this vibration, for holding it in your heart. We thank you for your presence with us. Be blessed, dear humans. Be loved. Farewell. Hey, that was a beautiful experience, guys. I'm so happy. Thank you so much for sharing up, showing up with your beautiful energies, and so good to see so many of you. Um, I'll be and yes, thanks for the sweet comments and everything. I'll be doing more of these. It'll be a recurring, regular thing, at least once a month. But I think there'll be another one sooner than that. That I might even put in on 2 weeks or something. So keep your eyes peeled for that, and. And whether you have a little or a lot of your Sunday left, I hope it will be a beautiful one. So thank you so much, everybody out there, and see you soon. Much love.